Have you ever imagined seeing a tiny vehicle the size of a standard golf cart pulling massive payloads that would make a modern heavy-duty pickup truck sweat? Welcome to a forgotten era of automotive history, a glorious time when vehicles were forged by brilliant engineers using slide rules and raw steel rather than built by cost-cutting computer algorithms. Today we are looking at machines packed with military-grade mechanics, portal axles, and solid iron, all crammed into pint-sized frames. These are the 10 most overbuilt mini 4x4s ever produced. Stay with me until the very end, because our number one spot belongs to a machine that looks less like a truck and more like a mechanical beast that escaped a secret mountain highway. Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is the legendary Subaru Brat, an acronym for Bi-Drive Recreational All-Terrain Transporter. Born in the late 1970s, this quirky Japanese creation was specifically engineered to bypass the infamous American chicken tax on imported light trucks. By throwing two rear-facing plastic jump seats with welded-in safety grips directly into the cargo bed, Subaru legally classified this rugged little machine as a standard passenger car. It was a brilliant, rebellious workaround. It brought an affordable, highly capable 4x4 to the American masses during a time when fuel economy was becoming a major concern. Underneath its lightweight car-like exterior, the Brat was hiding some serious analog mechanical engineering. It was powered by Subaru's signature EA Flat 4 engine, delivering power through a raw mechanical four-wheel drive system, and in later models a dual-range transfer case. Now, when you yanked that secondary lever into low range, you could physically feel the heavy gears locking into place. This transformed this little coupe utility into a dirt-slinging micro-tractor. You could hear the distinctive throaty mechanical clatter of the boxer engine as it dug its tires into the mud. It was pulling far above its designated weight class. The debate still rages today among classic enthusiasts. Is the Subaru Brat a true compact truck, or just a lifted station wagon with the roof chopped off? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. Regardless of what you call it, its legacy is undeniable. Pristine examples are now fetching upwards of $25,000 on collector auction sites like Bring a Trailer. But if you think putting jump seats in a truck bed is strange, our next vehicle takes the concept of a micro-brute to a whole new heavy-duty level. At number 9, we travel to Japan to uncover the Daihatsu Taft F50, a vehicle whose very name stands for Tough and Almighty Four-Wheel Touring Vehicle. Introduced in 1974, the Taft was Daihatsu's direct answer to the growing worldwide demand for ultra-compact, go-anywhere utility rigs. However, while it had the physical footprint of a modern side-by-side off-road buggy, it was built with the structural integrity of a commercial dump truck. It was a no-nonsense, bare-bones tool. It was designed for agricultural workers, forestry crews, and anyone who needed a reliable workhorse in the tightest, most unforgiving terrains on Earth. What made the Taft F50 truly overbuilt was its unapologetic heavy-duty construction. It featured a thick steel ladder frame, heavy leaf springs on all four corners, and solid live axles that could take an absolute beating without ever bending. Power came from a legendary DG, naturally aspirated 2.5-liter diesel engine. It was not fast, but the moment you turned the ignition, the cabin would fill with the deep, rhythmic vibration of a true industrial diesel. The tactile feedback through the steering wheel made you feel like you were operating construction equipment. Today, finding a Daihatsu Taft in solid running condition in the United States is like finding a needle in a haystack. This drives their collector value well over $15,000 for clean, imported models. It remains a masterclass in packing maximum durability into minimal dimensions. Driving one forces you to appreciate the slow, methodical torque of old-school diesel power, a stark contrast to today's high-revving turbo engines. But if this Japanese micro-tank seems unusual, wait until you see the bizarre, plastic-armored jungle conqueror coming up next from the heart of South America. Coming in at number 8 is the Gurgel X-12, an absolute anomaly of automotive engineering hailing directly from the muddy rainforests of Brazil. In the 1970s, the Brazilian government heavily restricted vehicle imports, forcing local engineers to get wildly creative to survive. Founder João Gurgel took a standard rear-engine Volkswagen chassis and decided to build an indestructible jungle exploration vehicle right on top of it. He engineered a patented material called plasteel, a composite of fiberglass and steel mesh, to create a body that would absolutely never rust, no matter how deep it waded into the Amazon. The mechanical genius of the X-12 was not just in its rust-proof armor, it was in a highly innovative drivetrain feature Gurgel proudly called the select traction system. Instead of a complex heavy four-wheel drive transfer case, the X-12 used a manual twin-lever system mounted right next to the driver. These levers allowed you to independently brake either the left or right rear wheel. If one wheel lost traction in deep mud, you simply pulled the lever for that specific wheel. This forced all the mechanical torques to the tire that still had solid grip on the ground. Because of their extreme rarity and incredible survivor backstory, a well-preserved Gurgel X-12 can easily command $20,000 on the current American enthusiast market. It is a stunning testament to what stubborn engineers can achieve when they are completely cut off from conventional global supply chains. It clicks and groans as it rips itself out of the muck, providing a purely tactile off-road experience. However, if you think a plastic rear-wheel drive jungle buggy is impressive, our next contender hides a world-class four-wheel drive system inside the body of a cheap city commuter. Number 7 brings us to the snowy Italian Alps with the legendary Fiat Panda 4x4, originally launched in 1983. At first glance, this looks like a disposable, boxy economy car, meant purely for narrow European alleyways and grocery runs. However, Fiat knew that rural Italians living in harsh mountainous regions needed a vehicle that was cheap to run, but completely unstoppable in deep snow and rocky trails. Instead of designing a four-wheel drive system themselves, Fiat contracted the absolute masters of military off-road engineering, the Austrian firm Steyr-Puch, the very same minds behind the mighty Mercedes G-Wagon. Steyr-Puch ripped out the standard underpinnings and engineered a brilliantly simple heavy-duty 4x4 drivetrain to fit underneath the tiny unibody frame. They installed a specialized gearbox featuring an ultra-low granny gear for the first gear, allowing the tiny engine to multiply its torque to incredible levels. When you drop the heavy clutch in that ultra-low gear, the little high-revving engine would scream. The car would slowly, methodically crawl up steep inclines that would leave modern luxury SUVs completely stranded. You could hear the constant whine of the heavy-duty transfer case working in perfect harmony with the buzzing exhaust. This unassuming little hatchback became a total cult icon across Europe. And today, importing a classic Panda 4x4 into the United States will set you back at least $15,000 to $20,000. It proved once and for all that you do not need massive horsepower if your mechanical gearing is mathematically perfect. It is the ultimate mountain goat in automotive form. But if a four-wheel drive hatchback sounds like a strange crossover concept, you haven't seen the heavy American iron that actually invented the modern crossover segment over 40 years ago. Taking the number 6 spot is a true, undeniable American pioneer, the AMC Eagle SX4. Long before modern crossovers flooded the highways with their delicate plastic body cladding and front-wheel drive bias systems, American Motors Corporation did something completely insane in 1981. They took a sporty two-door compact coupe, jacked it up several inches in the air, and shoved a massive, heavy-duty, full-time four-wheel drive system underneath it. It was proudly built during a time when American engineers firmly believed that the exact solution to any mechanical problem was simply thicker steel and heavier drivetrain components. Unlike today's delicate electronic all-wheel drive systems, the Eagle SX4 utilized a heavy, new process gear transfer case equipped with a fluid viscous coupling. This was a revolutionary mechanical innovation for its era. Paired with a heavy cast-iron inline-six engine, this car was an absolute tank on the dirt. When you drove an SX4 over rough terrain, you did not feel the delicate slip and grip of modern traction control. You felt the raw, analog bite of heavy iron differentials shifting power. The deep sound of that big American inline-six rumbling made you acutely aware of its immense weight. Do you consider the AMC Eagle SX4 the first true crossover, or was it just a glorious heavy metal experiment from a dying brand? Drop your absolute verdict in the comments. These rugged American classics are experiencing a massive surge in popularity, with prime examples crossing the auction block for over $25,000. And right now, if you're enjoying this deep dive into overbuilt analog machinery, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps YouTube show this video to more people who appreciate real mechanical history. Now let's get back to the countdown. Breaking into the top 5 is the legendary Suzuki Jimny, specifically the classic LJ and SJ generations. Do not let its microscopic K-car dimensions fool you for a single second. The Jimny was never designed to be a cute soft roader. Originating in 1970, it was engineered with the exact same architectural blueprint as a heavy-duty commercial truck, just aggressively scaled down to fit on narrow logging trails. It was built exclusively for people who needed a vehicle that could fit perfectly between tight trees, but survive the brutal punishment of daily industrial use without snapping a chassis in half. The absolute secret to the Jimny's legendary toughness lies in its true body-on-frame construction and solid live axles mounted on very rigid leaf springs. It featured a dual-ratio transfer case that you had to manually engage with a stiff, heavy, floor-mounted iron lever. When you shifted that lever into low range, the mechanical clunk echoed loudly through the bare metal cabin, letting you know the drivetrain was firmly locked and ready to load. The tactile sensation of the stiff suspension violently bouncing over rocks, combined with the screaming revs of its tiny engine, delivered an off-road experience that was wonderfully violent. Because it is a true, unfiltered, and highly capable off-road machine, vintage Jimnys and Samurai variants are highly sought after in the United States. They frequently sell for $15,000 to $25,000 for pristine, unmodified versions. It is the ultimate giant killer on the trails, proving that less weight is often better than more horsepower. But if you think the little Jimny is rugged, our next machine was literally built to survive the nuclear apocalypse during the absolute height of the Cold War. Get ready to meet the ultimate Soviet scout vehicle. At number 4 is the indestructible UAZ 469, the ultimate Soviet military scout vehicle. Introduced in 1971, the design brief for the UAZ was terrifyingly simple yet demanding. Build a utility vehicle that can be repaired in the middle of a frozen Siberian tundra with nothing but a hammer and a heavy wrench, and ensure it can run on virtually any combustible liquid you can pour into the gas tank. It was completely devoid of comfort, devoid of fragile electronics. It was built with steel thick enough to withstand the harshest military abuse imaginable. The highly specialized military versions of the UAZ 469 featured something truly special for off-roaders: heavy-duty reduction portal axles. By utilizing specialized gear hubs that physically dropped the center line of the axle high above the wheels, the UAZ gained massive ground clearance without needing enormous aftermarket tires. Driving one is a visceral, almost aggressive physical experience. The heavy, unassisted steering violently fights you on every turn. The straight-cut gears and the transmission whine loudly in your ears, and the potent smell of raw exhaust and hot oil constantly permeates the uninsulated cabin. Because of complicated import laws and their extreme rarity in North America, getting your hands on a legal running UAZ 469 can easily cost anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000. They are usually imported by hardcore military vehicle collectors. It is a crude, magnificent piece of Cold War engineering that commands absolute respect on the trail. But if we are talking about military-grade engineering packed into a tiny frame, our next entry from Austria takes precision mountain off-roading to a brilliant level of technical brilliance, almost surgical. Taking the bronze medal at number 3 is the phenomenal Steyr-Puch Haflinger. Named appropriately after a tough breed of alpine mountain horse, this Austrian micro truck was introduced in 1959 as a highly mobile, lightweight military transport vehicle. The engineering goal was bordering on madness: create a 4x4 so light that 4 strong soldiers could physically lift it, yet so mechanically advanced that it could scale nearly vertical alpine mountain faces carrying a full load. It is without a single doubt one of the most mechanically dense and brilliantly packaged utility vehicles in automotive history. Despite weighing just over 1,300 pounds, the Haflinger was packed with heavy-duty features you would expect to find on a commercial tractor. It boasted a rear-mounted air-cooled flat twin engine, fully independent suspension, and incredibly complex portal axles on all 4 corners. Most impressively, it featured manual locking differentials for both the front and rear axles. When you pulled the mechanical levers to lock those diffs, you could hear the heavy steel pins engaging. The tactile grip it achieved was gravity-defying, crawling up impossible grades with the frantic mechanical buzzing of its air-cooled engine echoing off the canyon rocks. Today, these Austrian mechanical marvels are absolute gold in the vintage collector market. They frequently trade hands for $30,000 to $40,000 at premium classic car auctions. The Haflinger proved perfectly that ultimate off-road capability comes from brilliant gearing and engineering, not just brute physical size. But if you want a vehicle that successfully combines a tiny maneuverable footprint with massive, undeniable American brute force, you need to see our heavy-duty runner-up. It is a masterpiece of forward control design from the masters of off-road. At number 2, we have the bizarre and brilliant Willys Jeep FC-150. Back in 1956, Willys realized they desperately needed a vehicle that could carry a massive, heavy payload, but still maneuver gracefully through extremely tight spaces and narrow forest trails. Their solution was the innovative forward control design. They took the legendary battle-proven chassis of the CJ5 Jeep, strictly kept the ultra-short 81-inch wheelbase, and shoved the entire metal cab completely over the front axle. This created a vehicle with a microscopic footprint but a massive 6-foot cargo bed. Under the large metal doghouse cover, sitting directly between the front seats, sat the legendary Hurricane F-head engine. Because you were sitting literally on top of the front steering wheels, the driving experience was completely wild and disorienting. Every time you hit the brakes hard, it felt like you were going to pitch forward onto your face, and the raw mechanical roar of the Hurricane engine was constantly screaming right next to your right leg. Engaging the heavy-duty Dana transfer case required real physical strength, but once locked in, the FC-150 operated like a miniature freight train. The FC-150 remains a towering icon of mid-century American utility design. Flawless restorations now routinely fetch anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000 at elite auctions. It was an absolute monster of heavy iron over-engineering built for the hardest-working Americans. But even this American utility legend pales in comparison to the absolute undisputed global king of overbuilt machinery. It is finally time to reveal our number 1 spot, a vehicle so extreme it defies normal automotive classification. Securing the absolute number 1 spot on our list of the most overbuilt mini 4x4s is a machine that completely defies categorization, the legendary Unimog 411. Born in post-war Germany under the Mercedes-Benz banner in the 1950s, the Unimog, which is short for Universal Motor Device, was never designed to be just a truck. It was heavily engineered to be a completely universal, self-propelled agricultural machine. It could brutally plow a muddy field, power heavy sawmill equipment in the forest, and then comfortably drive down the paved highway at 50 miles per hour. The structural and mechanical specifications of the 411 are staggering to comprehend. It sits high on a massive flexible ladder frame intentionally designed to violently twist to keep all 4 wheels planted firmly on the ground over extreme, uneven terrain. It utilizes heavy-duty portal axles, fully locking mechanical differentials, and a transmission that could be optioned with So many crawler gears that, at full throttle in its absolute lowest gear, it physically moves slower than a person walking. Furthermore, it features massive mechanical power takeoff shafts at both the front and the rear. Operating a Unimog 411 is like conducting a beautiful, chaotic symphony of heavy industrial steel. The deafening roar of the diesel engine, the complex whine of the cascade gearboxes, and the sheer physical force required to manage the dizzying array of metal levers makes it the ultimate tactile experience for any true gearhead. Today, a fully restored Unimog 411 is the absolute crown jewel of any serious tractor collection. With premium prices soaring well past $50,000, sometimes even $80,000, it stands completely alone as the undisputed king of over-engineering, built with absolute zero compromise. These 10 incredible vehicles are not just old, tiny trucks. They proudly represent a golden era of analog engineering, where real, heavy-duty mechanical solutions were truly forged to solve real-world problems. Which one of these fascinating micro-machines did you find the strangest? Which one would you absolutely want to see in person? And is there a massive overbuilt Mini 4x4 that I completely missed? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because every week there's a new video celebrating the greatest machines ever built. I'll see you in the next one.